The man in the gray suit was 3 seconds away from dying when the waitress dropped the glass. Not shattered. Not dramatic. Just one sharp movement of her trembling hand. Ice water spilled across the white tablecloth, soaking the billionaire's sleeve, flooding the expensive wine before it touched his lips. And in that exact moment, every person inside the private dining room stopped breathing. Because the waitress had just ruined a $50,000 business dinner. Or she had just saved a man's life. Maya Collins didn't know which one terrified her more. Welcome to Viral Story Hub. If you're new here, kindly like, subscribe, and comment. And stay with us till the end because this story takes a turn nobody sees coming. Also, don't forget to tell us where you're watching from. Rain hammered the streets of downtown Boston like nails against glass while Maya hurried through the employee entrance of the Meridian Room. Her shoes were wet. Her head hurt. Her body felt like it had stopped belonging to her 3 jobs ago. Late again, her manager snapped the second she walked in. It's 2 minutes, Rick. It's enough. Maya bit her tongue. Always bite your tongue. That was how people survived places like this. She tied her apron quickly while waiters rushed around her carrying silver trays and crystal glasses worth more than her monthly rent. The Meridian Room wasn't a restaurant for ordinary people. Politicians came there. Investors came there. Men who made one phone call and ruined entire companies came there. And Maya served them smiling. Not because she liked them. Because her 6-year-old daughter needed winter boots. Maya, another waitress whispered, hurrying toward her. You got assigned to the Hawthorne Room. Maya froze. The private room? The waitress nodded slowly. Big clients tonight. Rick walked over immediately. Listen carefully. No mistakes in there. These people don't like attention. You walk in, you serve, you walk out. Understood? Yes. And Maya? What? If anything happens tonight, it didn't happen. That sentence stayed with her. It followed her down the hallway. It followed her into the private dining room. The Hawthorne Room looked less like a restaurant and more like the office of someone who secretly controlled governments. Deep burgundy walls. Gold lighting. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking rain-covered Boston. 5 place settings. 5 crystal wine glasses. 5 men with enough money to disappear problems. And sitting at the head of the table was Victor Hale. Even Maya knew who he was. Everyone did. Tech investor. Billionaire. Young. Ruthless. Brilliant. The kind of man news anchors talked about with nervous smiles. But in person, he was quieter than she expected. Calm. Too calm. Like someone who never needed to raise his voice because the world already listened. Victor barely glanced at her as she poured water. Gentlemen, one of the men laughed loudly, if this acquisition goes through, we'll own half the port contracts on the East Coast. Another man smirked. Not half. Most. They laughed. Maya moved silently around the room, placing dishes carefully while fragments of conversation floated through the air. Money. Power. Laws. People reduced to numbers. Then the final guest arrived late. Adrian Cole. Tall. Expensive suit. Forced smile. Traffic was a nightmare, Adrian said as he loosened his tie. Victor looked at him for 2 long seconds. You're late. Won't happen again. Maya noticed something strange immediately. Adrian's hands were shaking. Not badly. Just enough. Victor noticed too. You all right? Victor asked. Perfect. But his voice answered differently. Maya kept serving. Don't stare. Don't listen. Don't exist. That was the rule. Yet something about Adrian made her nervous. Maybe it was the sweat gathering near his collar despite the cold room. Maybe it was the way he kept touching the inside pocket of his jacket. Or maybe it was instinct. And instinct had saved Maya before. 3 years ago, instinct told her to leave a man who said he loved her while bruising her ribs. Instinct told her to run before he destroyed her completely. So she learned to trust fear. Fear kept people alive. Mama says brave people are just scared people who move anyway. The memory of Elena's tiny voice flashed through Maya's mind suddenly. She almost smiled. Then she saw it. Adrian waited until everyone focused on Victor. One quick movement. His hand slipped into his pocket. A tiny silver vial appeared between his fingers. Maya stopped breathing. Adrian poured something into Victor's wine glass so quickly it almost looked imagined. A single flick. Then the vial disappeared. Maya's pulse exploded. No. No, no, no. Her tray nearly slipped from her hands. Did she really see that? Victor continued speaking calmly, unaware. The board won't approve unless we force the vote before Friday. Nobody else noticed. Nobody. Maya stared at the dark red wine sitting inches from Victor's hand. Her chest tightened so hard it hurt. This wasn't her business. This wasn't her world. People like Victor Hale had lawyers, guards, drivers, assistants. People like Maya minded their own survival. She thought of Elena sleeping at Mrs. Larkin's apartment. She thought of overdue bills. She thought of losing this job. Then Victor reached for the glass. Time slowed. Maya heard her own heartbeat. If she spoke up and she was wrong. Finished. If she stayed silent and she was right. A man would die in front of her. Victor lifted the glass. 3 seconds. That was all she had. Maya moved before her fear could stop her. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. She slammed into the edge of the table hard enough to send the water glass crashing sideways. Ice water burst across Victor's suit. The wine glass tipped over with it, flooding the tablecloth in dark red. Silence. Absolute silence. Every eye locked onto Maya. Her breathing became shallow. Rick was going to fire her. Security was going to drag her out. Victor stared at his soaked sleeve. 1 second. 2 seconds. 3. Then something strange happened. He looked directly at the ruined wine glass. Not angry. Focused. Sharp. As if he understood something instantly. Maya reached instinctively for the glass. I'm so sorry, sir, let me clean. Victor's hand closed around her wrist gently. Not hard. But enough to stop her. Their eyes met. And for the first time all night, Maya saw emotion crack through his calm expression. Recognition. He knew. You all right? Victor asked quietly. The question shocked her. Yes. Adrian suddenly stood too quickly. This is ridiculous, he snapped. Can we get another bottle already? Nobody answered him. Victor slowly released Maya's wrist. No, he said calmly. I think we're finished drinking tonight. Adrian's face lost color. The room changed after that. Nobody relaxed anymore. The dinner continued, but it became stiff, careful, wrong. Victor spoke less. Adrian barely touched his food. Maya felt eyes on her every time she entered the room. Especially Victor's. An hour later, Adrian abruptly pushed back his chair. I'm not feeling well. One of the men frowned. You look pale. I said I'm fine. Victor leaned back slowly, studying him. You should get that checked. Something cold passed between them. Something hidden. Adrian grabbed his coat quickly. We'll continue this tomorrow. Victor's expression never changed. If there is a tomorrow. Maya saw fear flash across Adrian's face before he left. Real fear. The kind that made strong men look human. The moment the door closed, the room felt lighter. But more dangerous. Much more dangerous. Dinner ended shortly after. The guests left quietly. Rick cornered Maya immediately near the kitchen. What the hell was that? I slipped. You don't slip in there. I said I'm sorry. Rick rubbed his forehead angrily. Do you understand who that man is? No. That's Victor Hale. People wait years to get invited into the same room with him. Well, he's alive, so I guess dinner still worked out. Rick stared at her. Then blinked. Go home, Maya. What? Your shift's over. You're firing me? Rick hesitated strangely. No. That surprised her more than anything. Then what? He requested you stay employed. Maya frowned. Who did? Before Rick answered, a calm voice spoke behind her. I did. Victor Hale stood near the hallway entrance alone. Without the businessmen around him, he somehow looked even more intimidating. Not louder. Just sharper. Rick immediately straightened. Sir, I can give you privacy. Victor nodded once. Rick disappeared instantly. Maya's stomach tightened. Victor approached slowly. Up close, he looked exhausted beneath the expensive appearance. You have children? He asked suddenly. Maya blinked. A daughter. How old? 6. Victor nodded like that confirmed something. Then he reached into his jacket and handed her an envelope. Maya stared at it. What's this? Compensation. I don't want charity. It isn't charity. She didn't take it. Victor studied her carefully. You saw something tonight. Maya's pulse stumbled. I don't know what you mean. You do. His voice stayed calm. Too calm. And somehow that made everything worse. Maya looked toward the hallway nervously. I should go. Victor lowered his voice. Listen carefully to me now. Something in his tone froze her in place. If anyone contacts you about tonight, you call this number immediately. He handed her a black card. No company logo. No title. Just a phone number. Maya swallowed hard. Why would anyone contact me? Victor looked toward the rain-covered windows. Because someone at that table tried to kill me. Maya felt the blood drain from her face. You knew. I knew the second you spilled the water. Fear crawled slowly into her chest. Victor looked back at her. And now, he said quietly, whoever planned it knows you knew too. The restaurant suddenly felt too small. Too quiet. Too dangerous. Maya stepped backward slowly. I didn't mean to get involved. You already are. Then Victor said something that stayed in her mind long after she left. The people who fail at killing powerful men rarely stop after one attempt. Maya walked home through the freezing rain clutching the black card tightly in her shaking hand. And for the first time in years, she no longer felt invisible. By the time Maya reached her apartment building, her nerves were stretched so tight she could hear every sound like it was happening inside her skull. The rain had stopped, but the streets still glistened beneath yellow streetlights. Boston looked different at night when fear followed you home. Every parked car looked occupied. Every shadow looked patient. She climbed the cracked apartment stairs quickly, gripping the railing with cold fingers. Mrs. Larkin opened the door before Maya even knocked. There you are, the elderly woman whispered. I was beginning to worry. Maya forced a smile. Long night. Mrs. Larkin narrowed her eyes immediately. Something happened. No. Just tired. Maya Collins, I'm 72 years old. I know the face of someone carrying fear. Maya almost laughed. Instead, her eyes filled unexpectedly. Mrs. Larkin softened immediately. Oh sweetheart. I'm okay, Maya said quickly. Really? But she wasn't. Not even close. Little Elena came running out from the bedroom wearing pink socks and oversized pajamas. Mama. Maya dropped to her knees instantly and hugged her tightly. The smell of strawberry shampoo in Elena's hair nearly broke her completely. You're late, Elena mumbled sleepily against her shoulder. I know, baby. You missed the moon. What? The moon was huge tonight. Maya kissed her forehead. I'll catch the next one. Elena pulled back and stared at her carefully. Children always notice things adults tried to hide. Mama, why are your hands shaking? Maya looked down. They really were. I'm cold. That's not cold. Mrs. Larkin watched silently from the kitchen doorway. After putting Elena back to bed, Maya sat alone at the tiny kitchen table while Mrs. Larkin made tea. You want to tell me what happened? No. Then at least tell me if you're in danger. Maya hesitated too long. That was answer enough. Mrs. Larkin slowly sat down across from her. Maya. I saw something tonight. What kind of something? The kind you don't talk about. The old woman became very still. Police? I don't know. Men? Maya looked up sharply. Mrs. Larkin sighed sadly. Bad things usually start with men. Maya almost smiled despite herself. Then she remembered Victor's words. Whoever planned it knows you knew too. Fear rushed back immediately. Mrs. Larkin reached for her hand. Listen to me carefully. Whatever this is, don't try handling it alone. Maya looked away. She had handled everything alone for years. That was the problem. Around 2:13 a.m., Maya finally lay down beside Elena, but sleep never came. Every creak outside made her tense. Every passing car slowed her breathing. At 3:07 a.m., headlights stopped outside the apartment building. Maya sat upright instantly. A black sedan idled across the street. Its lights stayed on. Her chest tightened. 1 minute passed. Then 2. The car didn't move. Maya carefully slid out of bed without waking Elena and moved toward the window. The sedan remained there silently. Watching. Her stomach twisted. Then suddenly the car drove away. Maya exhaled shakily. But she didn't sleep after that. At exactly 8:40 the next morning, her phone rang while she packed Elena's school lunch. Unknown number. Maya stared at it nervously before answering. Hello. Miss Collins? The voice was male. Professional. This is Detective Harris with Boston Police Department. Maya froze. We need to ask you a few questions regarding an incident at the Meridian Room last night. Her heartbeat quickened instantly. How did you get this number? Your employer provided it. Something felt wrong immediately. Too fast. Too convenient. What incident? A pause. Then the man spoke carefully. One of the guests became seriously ill after leaving the restaurant. Maya gripped the counter tightly. Is he dead? We'd rather discuss that in person. Another pause. Then. Miss Collins, did you see anything unusual during dinner? Maya remembered Victor's warning. If anyone contacts you, call this number immediately. Her instincts screamed. What precinct are you calling from? She asked suddenly. Silence. Then the voice answered, Central Division. Maya grabbed her old laptop quickly and searched. No Central Division existed in Boston. Cold fear spread through her body. You're not police, she whispered. The voice changed instantly. The politeness disappeared. We know he spoke to you after dinner. Maya's breathing stopped. We know he gave you something. She hung up immediately. Her hands shook violently now. The phone rang again instantly. Then again. Then again. Maya turned it off completely. Mama? Elena stood near the hallway rubbing her eyes sleepily. You okay? Maya forced herself to breathe normally. Yes. But Elena wasn't convinced. Why do you look scared? Because somebody found me already. A knock hit the apartment door suddenly. Maya jumped so hard she nearly dropped the phone. 3 knocks. Slow. Controlled. Mrs. Larkin opened her own apartment door across the hallway. Everything all right? Maya motioned for Elena to stay back. Another knock came. Maya Collins, a male voice called. Delivery. I didn't order anything. Silence. Then footsteps slowly retreated. Maya rushed to the peephole. A man in a dark jacket walked down the stairs without any package. Not a delivery driver. Mrs. Larkin saw Maya's face and immediately crossed the hallway. What happened? Maya whispered, someone's looking for me. The old woman's expression hardened instantly. For what? I think, because I saw something. Before Mrs. Larkin could respond, Maya remembered the black card. Her hands trembled as she switched her phone back on and dialed the number Victor gave her. 1 ring. That was all. Mr. Hale's office. The voice was calm and precise. This is Maya Collins. A pause. Then instantly. Are you safe? The question frightened her more than comforted her. I don't know. Tell me exactly what happened. Maya explained everything rapidly, the fake detective, the calls, the man outside the apartment. Silence followed. Then the voice spoke sharply. Miss Collins, listen carefully. Do not leave your apartment. Fear climbed higher. Who is this? My name is Simon Vale. I work for Mr. Hale. What's happening? We're sending someone. We. Another pause. Mr. Hale expected this. That sentence chilled her completely. Within 20 minutes, a black SUV parked outside the building. Not 1. 2. Men in dark coats stepped out carefully scanning the street. Mrs. Larkin stared through the curtains. Sweet Lord. A knock came at the door. Maya Collins, the same calm voice said. Simon Vale. Maya opened the door cautiously. Simon looked about 40, sharply dressed, controlled in the same unsettling way Victor was controlled. Mr. Hale wants you relocated immediately. Relocated? Yes. No. Simon looked unsurprised. Miss Collins. I'm not leaving my home because some rich guy thinks. Someone attempted murder last night. His voice cut through hers like glass. This morning, your number was compromised, your address was identified, and unknown individuals approached your building pretending to be law enforcement. Maya fell silent. Simon lowered his voice. The situation is escalating faster than expected. Mrs. Larkin whispered, Maya. I can't just disappear, Maya snapped. Simon looked toward Elena quietly. Yes, he said. You can. That hit hard. Too hard. Elena walked closer clutching her stuffed rabbit. Mama, who are these people? Maya's heart cracked a little. Simon crouched slightly to Elena's level. Hi. Elena stared suspiciously. Are you cops? No. Bad guys? Simon almost smiled. Definitely not. Then why do you all look like movie villains? Even Maya nearly laughed. Simon stood again. You have 10 minutes. For what? To pack. Maya looked at him helplessly. I don't even understand what's happening. You stopped a very powerful man from being killed. And now? Now powerful people are trying to figure out how much you know. Fear swallowed the room whole. Maya looked toward Elena. Everything inside her changed right there. Not because she was brave. Because she was a mother. And mothers learned very quickly what mattered most. Okay, she whispered. Simon nodded once. Good decision. The next 30 minutes felt unreal. Maya packed clothes while Elena asked endless questions. Are we going on vacation? No, baby. Then why are there men downstairs with guns? Maya froze. Mrs. Larkin closed the suitcase gently. Sweetheart, your mama just needs a little help right now. Elena looked confused. From who? Nobody answered. Before leaving, Maya hugged Mrs. Larkin tightly. Thank you for everything. The old woman held her face gently. You survived this, Maya. You hear me? Maya nodded emotionally. Then Mrs. Larkin whispered something unexpected. You stopped someone from dying. Don't let yourself feel guilty for that. Maya nearly cried. Outside, cold wind whipped through the street as Simon opened the SUV door. The moment Maya stepped outside, she noticed something terrifying. Across the street. A man was watching them from inside a parked car. Simon noticed too. His expression darkened instantly. Move, he ordered sharply. Everything changed at once. The parked car door suddenly opened. A second man stepped out quickly. Simon shoved Maya toward the SUV. Down. One of Victor's security men pulled a weapon instantly. People started screaming nearby. Elena cried out in panic. The two men across the street froze, realizing they'd been spotted. Then they ran. Fast. One disappeared into an alley while the other jumped back into the car. Tires screamed against wet pavement as the sedan sped away. Maya stood frozen in horror. Oh my God. Simon looked furious now. Get in the vehicle. Now. Maya climbed inside, clutching Elena tightly while her daughter cried against her chest. What's happening, Mama? It's okay, Maya whispered desperately. But her voice broke. Because it wasn't okay anymore. Not even close. As the SUV pulled away, Maya looked back through the rear window at her apartment building disappearing behind them. And deep down, she knew her old life had just ended. The SUV drove for nearly an hour before anyone spoke again. Rain returned halfway through the trip, tapping softly against the tinted windows while Boston disappeared behind them mile by mile. Elena had finally fallen asleep against Maya's shoulder, exhausted from crying. But Maya couldn't rest. Every few minutes she checked the mirrors nervously. Every pair of headlights behind them looked dangerous. Simon sat in the passenger seat speaking quietly into an earpiece. No tail so far. A pause. Yes. We're 15 minutes out. Maya stared at him. Who were those men? Simon didn't answer immediately. That's what we're trying to determine. They were following me. Yes. Why? Simon looked back at her calmly. Because someone believes you know more than you actually do. That's insane. Not to them. Maya looked down at Elena sleeping beside her. She's just a child. That won't matter if these people panic. Fear twisted through her chest all over again. The SUV finally turned onto a long private road surrounded by tall trees and iron fencing. At the end sat a massive modern house overlooking a frozen lake. Soft lights glowed through enormous windows. It looked peaceful. Too peaceful. The gates opened automatically. Security cameras followed the vehicle as it rolled forward. Maya stared quietly. Who lives here? Victor Hale. The SUV stopped. Before Simon could open the door, the front entrance opened already. Victor stepped outside wearing a dark sweater instead of the expensive suit from the restaurant. For the first time, he looked less like a billionaire and more like a man who hadn't slept all night. His eyes immediately went to Elena. Then to Maya. "You're safe now," he said. Maya almost laughed at the absurdity of that sentence. Safe. Nothing about this felt safe. Victor noticed the fear still written across her face. "You shouldn't have been approached that quickly," he admitted. "That quickly?" Maya repeated. "You say that like you expected this." "I did." Simon stepped beside Victor quietly. The surveillance team confirmed at least 2 individuals near her apartment. Victor's jaw tightened slightly. Then he looked back at Maya. "I'm sorry." That surprised her. Not the words. The sincerity behind them. Inside, the house was warm and silent. A woman brought blankets for Elena while another employee prepared food. Maya stood near the fireplace awkwardly, feeling completely out of place. Victor poured himself coffee. "Tea?" he asked her. "I don't think tea is fixing this." A tiny smile almost appeared on his face. "Almost. What exactly is happening?" Maya asked finally. Victor leaned against the counter quietly. "Adrian Cole worked with me for 5 years. You trusted him." "Yes. And he tried to poison you." Victor nodded once. "Why?" "There's a merger happening next week involving a defense software company." Maya frowned. "I don't understand." "You don't need to understand the business side. Just understand this: if I died before signing certain documents, billions of dollars would shift into different hands. And somebody wanted that." "Yes." Maya shook her head slowly. "People really kill each other over money?" Victor looked at her strangely. "You'd be surprised what people kill for." Silence filled the room briefly. Then Maya asked the question haunting her. "Did Adrian die?" Victor's expression darkened. "No. But the fake detective said. They lied." "Then where is he?" "We don't know." That answer scared her more. Victor walked toward the fireplace slowly. "The problem now isn't Adrian." "Then what is it?" "He failed." Victor looked directly at her. "And people who fail dangerous men usually become liabilities." Maya folded her arms tightly. "So what am I now?" Victor answered honestly. "A complication." That hurt more than she expected. Not because it was cruel. Because it was true. The next few days felt unreal. Security guards remained outside constantly. Phones were replaced. Routes changed. Even Elena noticed it. "Why are there always people outside?" she whispered one morning while eating cereal. Maya forced a smile. "They're helping us." "With what?" Maya looked away. Victor entered the kitchen quietly before she could answer. "With making sure nobody bothers your mother." Elena studied him carefully. "You're rich." Victor blinked once. "That obvious?" "You have rich people shoes." Maya nearly choked trying not to laugh. Victor actually smiled this time. A real one. Small. But real. Elena pointed at him seriously. "Mama says rich people are usually mean." Maya covered her face instantly. "Oh my God." Victor looked amused. "Does she?" Elena nodded proudly. "But you don't look mean." "Give me time," Victor replied dryly. For the first time in days, Maya laughed. And somehow that felt stranger than the danger. Later that night, Maya stood alone on the back patio wrapped in a blanket staring at the frozen lake. Victor stepped outside quietly. "You should sleep." "I can't." Neither spoke for a moment. Then Maya asked softly, "Does this ever stop?" "What?" "Looking over your shoulder." Victor's silence answered first. "Not completely." "That sounds exhausting." "It is." Maya looked at him carefully. For all his power, Victor suddenly seemed lonely. Painfully lonely. "You could have ignored what happened," he said quietly. "What?" "At the restaurant." "I know. Most people would've." Maya shook her head. "No. Most people just think they would." Victor studied her. "You really believe that?" "Yes." She looked toward the dark lake. "I think people are better than the world gives them credit for." Victor smiled faintly. "That's either wisdom or optimism. Which one do you think?" "I haven't decided yet." The next morning everything exploded. Simon entered the house fast, his calm expression gone. "We found Adrian." Victor stood immediately. "Alive?" "Yes." "Where?" Simon hesitated. "He's trying to negotiate immunity." Victor's face hardened instantly. "With who?" "Federal investigators." Maya looked between them nervously. "What does that mean?" Simon answered carefully. "It means Adrian's afraid." Victor grabbed his coat immediately. "Set up the meeting." Maya stood. "Meeting?" Victor looked at her. "This ends today." Hours later, Maya sat inside the secure house anxiously while news channels exploded with breaking reports. Federal investigations. Corporate corruption. Financial crimes. Secret offshore accounts. Arrests. Multiple executives connected to Victor's business rivals were suddenly being taken into custody. Maya stared at the television in shock. This wasn't just about one poison drink. It never was. Simon finally returned near evening. "It's over." Maya stood instantly. "What happened?" "Adrian gave them everything." "Where's Victor?" "He's handling the fallout." "Is he safe?" Simon looked surprised by the question. "Yes." Maya slowly sat back down. For the first time in days. The fear inside her loosened slightly. Not gone. But weaker. 3 weeks later, Maya and Elena finally returned home. The black sedan never appeared again. The fake detective never called back. Life slowly restarted. But Maya had changed. Completely. One afternoon she sat inside a small cafe across from Victor while snow drifted softly outside. "I got accepted," she said quietly. Victor looked up from his coffee. "To nursing school?" She nodded slowly. Emotion filled her eyes immediately afterward. "I can't afford it." Victor reached into his jacket calmly and slid a folder across the table. Maya frowned. "What's this?" "Tuition." Her eyes widened. "No. It's already arranged." "I can't take that." "Yes, you can." "Victor. It isn't charity." Maya laughed softly. "You billionaires really love saying that." A small smile touched his face. Then he became serious again. "You saved my life. I spilled water. You made a choice." Maya looked down quietly. Victor's voice softened slightly. "And because of that choice, people who would have destroyed lives are gone now." Maya swallowed hard. "I still don't feel brave." "Good," Victor said calmly. "Why?" "Because the people who enjoy danger usually become dangerous themselves." Months passed. Then a year. Maya Collins graduated near the top of her nursing class while Elena screamed louder than every parent in the auditorium combined. "That's my mama." People laughed warmly. Maya cried before she even reached the stage. Victor watched quietly from the back row unnoticed by almost everyone. Just the way he preferred. Later that night, Maya found him standing outside near the parking lot. You came. You invited me. You actually showed up. Victor adjusted his coat slightly. I was told attendance matters. Maya laughed softly. Then she looked at him seriously. You changed my life. Victor shook his head once. No. He looked directly at her. You changed your own life the second you refused to look away. Emotion tightened her throat instantly. Nearby, Elena ran toward them excitedly holding Maya's graduation flowers. Mama. We're celebrating, right? Maya smiled through tears. Absolutely. Elena looked at Victor. Are you coming too? Victor hesitated. Maya noticed. And for the first time since meeting him, she understood something deeply sad about powerful people. Most of them never knew whether invitations were real. So she answered for him. Yes, Maya said gently. He's coming. Victor looked at her quietly. Grateful. Years later, Maya would still remember that night inside the Meridian room. Not because of the poison. Not because of the fear. But because of the choice. One tiny decision made in 3 impossible seconds. A movement so small most people would never have noticed it. Yet it changed everything. Because sometimes courage doesn't arrive like thunder. Sometimes it looks like an exhausted waitress with shaking hands choosing not to stay silent. And somewhere in the world tonight, someone is standing in front of a moment that could change everything too. Maybe a stranger needs help. Maybe fear is winning. Maybe doing the right thing feels dangerous. But stories like Maya Collins exist for one reason. To remind people that ordinary lives become extraordinary the moment courage speaks louder than fear. If you enjoyed this story, kindly like this video, subscribe to Viral Story Hub, and comment below, what would you have done in Maya's place? And don't forget to tell us where you're watching from. Because sometimes, one small act of bravery can save a life. And sometimes, it can save your own too.